I sat with the CEO for 72 hours, and what I counted was amazing. Um, for 72 hours, I just shadowed this guy. What came out of that shadowing is something that has taught me a lot of. It it's something I already knew, but it took me deeper. Now, usually when I'm called to come in for a strategic intervention, especially with companies that either want to sell and or want to go to the next level and or are struggling with the structure of the leadership team, usually they expect the usual thing would have been take the leadership team away, get them clarify where they are, what the challenges are, what the bottlenecks are, where they need to go, and then walk through it. This time round, for some divine intervention, I decided, you know what, I am not going to do the usual thing. What I'm actually going to do is I want to sit with the CEO and I want to study the CEO. And I said to him, I want to spend 72 hours with you, just sitting with you, shadowing with you, going wherever you go. And when you go to these foreign countries, usually if you're not at the hotel, you're at the CEO's home. And this is one of those companies that has got, billions and billions worth of business across the world. So the CEOs usually have guest wings for that matter. So I sat with the CEO for 3 days, and what I counted changed everything. Okay. The counting exercise was something that I have always thought about, but I did not know exactly how to go about it until I got this opportunity. So I get brought in, and this guy has got about 2,000 people who report to him, and he's a brilliant guy, by the way, technically sound, top in his class, and one of those guys who is really sharp, but I just thought, you know what? I want to shadow you. I want to know where the challenge is, because if your bosses are saying there's a challenge, I want to know where the challenge is. So I sat with him and I took my journal out and I counted every time a decision reached his desk. Every time. And out of those 72 days, if someone came to him for an answer, for an approval, for a direction, for a judgment call, for anything, I would write it down. I would write it down. I would write it down. I would count it, count it. In 72 hours, I was able to count decision points that came to his desk. 47. 11 of those 47 were genuinely required of him, his expertise and his ability to facilitate that, because they needed his specific knowledge and that level of authority. The other 36 did not need him. That's right. 36 of those decisions did not need him. His team had the ability to do it. They just did not believe that they were allowed to do it. I'll tell you one that was actually very I can't forget it. Just one second. Let me see. Um, he was very good at he was a very safety conscious guy. So he had gone and employed one of the best safety people you can think about in terms of world class oil and gas safety. At the oil rigs, at the petrol stations, whatever. He was very good at it. So he had employed a really amazing health and safety guy. However, this guy sat outside his office for almost 2 hours waiting for the CEO to make a decision about something that this HSC guy was the expert at. But because of the CEO drag, because of the culture, because of it's going to go via the boss, this guy waited. But this was the part that really got me. Because of that, there was a delay in the they needed to get a certain material on the floor so that they could finish the building, something like that. However, because it was delayed because of decisions, the contractor had to then leave the job, go and do something else while they were making up their minds and then come back. That cost the company 3 days of production. 3 days of production was almost $500,000 worth of stuff not done. Simply because, and when I was like, what? The expert, the expert is waiting on the CEO. So that gap between the CEO and what they need to do and what actually routes to them is where I work. That's where I specialize. That is where I've done my most amazing work, and almost nobody measures it at the level at which it needs to be measured. Okay, now why is this important? Why does this matter? Just think about it. 36 decisions in 72 hours. That did not need the CEO. 36. That's not a small inefficiency. No, that is big time, because that's the operating model of this particular business. That was his operating model. And I would say to him, okay, we are suffering because of some of these things. The decision was that the 36 decisions cost him not just time, but dealing with someone else's job that they're paid to do. Okay. It was costing the CEO the time that he would spend on strategy and being significantly more useful to the organization. The delay of all the things that could have been done but were not being done because of that drug. Thousands of dollars per hour wasted, because think about it, every time he's not being strategic because of how much he's paid, he is wasting time in things that are costing the company thousands and thousands of dollars. I want that to land for you. Every time you're doing something else, think about it, that you pay somebody else to do. Now, if you have a challenge with your middle management or the people who are supposed to do that, that's a completely different story. But if they're waiting on you, that's an architecture problem that you have created. Okay, because if they don't feel safe to make those decisions, then they won't. The decisions that wait, the people that are held back, the operations that are slowed down, the speed that is lost, the culture that is created, simply because, oh, we got to check in with the CEO. If that becomes a default answer, or is the default answer right now, that is what creates the threshold in terms of how a company can grow. The CEO wasn't actually holding the company back intentionally. No, no, no. It is because of the architecture that was created with the growth. Okay? It had never been redesigned to match the scale at which they had grown. Therefore, everything still routed through this guy. Now, my question to you would be, what if you counted your own week? What if we came in and just sat down and counted your own week, and not guessed, actually took time to count, get your PA to just shadow you and count everything that landed at your table, every approval that you had to give, everything that waited for your approval, every question that you answered? What would the number be? And of all those decisions that you make, what percentage actually requires your expertise, your specific authority, your specific relationships? I would wager that that number is way smaller than you think. And most importantly, it has been created by habit, by history, by culture. That was never redesigned as you have grown. That right there is the CEO drug, and it's measurable, and it's what we measure, and it's something that I have been doing for 19 years. So I have built this diagnostic map that helps you to figure out where your drug is, what exactly is eating your time up, but most importantly, how it is affecting everybody else. Now, I am putting a link at the end of this video in the comments. Go and get your diagnostic done. Get to know exactly where your CEO drug is. And hey, when you know what you know, a well-diagnosed problem is easy to treat than one that is not. Alright, so I would like to follow up with a story on what happened to all the other things that I did with this CEO, and that is going to be in this particular series. If you want to know more, then I guess you're going to have to log in and wait for the next video in the series. In the meantime, tell me what you think. Tell me about your CEO drug. Tell me what this has done for you. And if you are a middle manager who's frustrated by that, share in the video as well so that we know what's going on. But most importantly, together we can build better companies. And as we do that, let us bring some other people along with us so that we can make this world a better place. Till next time, peace.